We need to say something. We need to we need to demand that our elected officials get to the bottom of this Department of Homeland Security thing. And if they won't answer the questions, because they've been asked numerous times and they won't answer the questions, then we need to stop funding them. Why in the world are my tax dollars going to fund the Department of Homeland Security building a police state, which will probably be used to enslave me? So you people are paying for your own cages, literally. That can you grasp that? There's something wrong there. There's something seriously wrong there. When a president can sign a bill that says that he can arrest an American citizen without charging them with a crime and hold them indefinitely, you don't have freedom. And if you're going to allow your president to pass that bill and then you re-elect him that same year, what does that say? What in the world does that say? It's a disgrace, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. And just like V in V for Vendetta said, look no further than yourself. Look in the mirror. You want someone to blame? It's us. It's all of us. It's every single person in this country. And I know some of us are doing more than others, but that is not an excuse. We have to find a way. Even with the seeming minority, and I honestly believe that there are a lot more people that are awake to this than want to say, if we could unify, if we could organize, we could get we could put some pressure on our elected officials. If we could put some pressure on the elected officials and they could put some pressure on them, maybe we could slow this down. Maybe we could stop it. The Department of Homeland Security is a farce, and it's unconstitutional, and it's ridiculous. It's the end of Posse Comitatus, and it's one of the greatest threats that this country has ever seen. And our founding fathers would be turning over in their graves if they knew about this. And I'm sure they are rolling over in their graves right now. They warned us about this. The last thing that this country ever needed was a standing army governing its citizens. That is tyranny. That is the definition of tyranny. If you had freedom, you don't need the standing army. If we had freedom, we don't need gun control laws. The greatest threat to a bad guy is an armed civilian. The greatest threat to the government is an armed populace. I wonder why the bad guys in the government want to get rid of our guns. The only way that we can protect ourselves from not only crazy people, but from the government is with guns. If you give up your guns, I promise you, it is over. It's all over. And that's the only thing standing between them and the New World Order. And if they take your guns, and you don't even put up a fight, it's a sad day in America. If you let them take your guns, you might as well roll over. You might as well blow your brains out. It's over. You're going in a cage. I don't want to sound crazy. I don't want to sound like I'm embellishing. This is not an embellishment. This is deadly serious. These people declared war on us when they passed the National Defense Authorization Act. And mark my words, it was a declaration of war. You sign a bill that says that you can arrest somebody without charging them with a crime. You don't give them a trial, and you can hold them indefinitely. No trial. Not even being told what crime you committed. That's a declaration of war. You say that you're going to disarm the American people because of some massacre in Newtown and a shooting at Sandy Hook and the Aurora shooting, and all of these shooters are on psychotropic drugs seeing DARPA mind control doctors. I wonder what that's all about. That's not a coincidence. Or as the government would say, that's just a coincidence. Don't mind that. These people are crazy, and you gotta take away their guns. The only way for us all to be safe is for us all to be disarmed. But you see, the flaw in that is that criminals aren't going to register their guns. Criminals aren't going to turn in their guns. Criminals aren't going to do anything because they don't acknowledge the rule of law. Hence, a criminal. Do you understand the definition of the term criminal? So the only people that you're going to disarm are honest, innocent American civilians. And the only thing that you're going to do by disarming them is make them unable to protect and defend themselves. You're going to make them...
Only got about 6-7 minutes left. In closing, Sandy Hook and now the Feinstein bill and others to make us physically turn them in, not just go back and re-register with the ATF at their pleasure. Now they want to just open where they decide, law-abiding citizens turning their guns in. What is your take on that? And are you concerned about a purge or persecution of gun owners?
Well, I'm concerned about their inconsistency. They want to get rid of guns because somebody used a gun and did some violence. But we all know that more people are getting killed with hammers and fists and knives. So they're not very consistent. They see an opportunity. They want to get rid of the guns. Some people believe they're dangerous and want to get rid of them, and other people want to get rid of them because they know that guns can resist the government tyranny, and some people like the idea that governments become tyrants and they should run things. As long as the government kills children, it's okay, so they want to protect that. You know, all that scandal and outcry, which much of it was justified, seeing kids getting killed, as a horror. But at the same time, how about those people who are saying, okay, this is an excuse to take away the rights of people who use guns to defend their family? How many of them are shouting and screaming about the children that our drones are killing on a daily basis because they're Muslim kids in different color and they're overseas and nobody has to line them up and shoot them? We can do it by directing drones from this country. That doesn't even count. So that's what their whole goal is to distract us from some of the horrors that governments perpetuate and the way they destroy our liberties, and they perpetuate the violence. I mean, compared to the violence that governments have perpetuated on the people versus what the people do to each other, there's no contest.
Historically, government's the #1 killer, as you know. University studies out of Hawaii and others, 292 million people killed in the 20th century, non-military combatants. We have a red alert, sir, that just came out while you were on with us. DrudgeReport.com, Weekly Standard, AP, you name it. Obama White House threatens executive action to physically confiscate the firearms. Biden has now given a speech, sir. They've got a bunch of state reps and federal reps. I've literally got over 10 articles. They're all calling for executive orders. And Obama is saying now that he'll do everything in his power, including executive orders. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we feared. Congressman, constitutionally, that's beyond a constitutional crisis. As a constitutional expert, sir, if he signs an order ordering we turn in our guns, what does that mean?
Well, it should go without saying that he's gone way too far. It also should go without saying that he's acting with the use of illegal violence, and he becomes the violent person to say that if you don't, and this is not new. He's been doing this, you know, environmental regulation. If Congress moves too slowly, well, I'll write an executive order. But he didn't invent the executive order and the signing orders. You know, I'll ignore this. It's a bipartisan thing.
But it's accelerating and getting dictatorial. That's how our military.
Yeah,
what do we do if Obama orders us to turn our guns in? Doesn't that make him a dictator if he just says, I'll do whatever I want?
Well, it's certainly a dictatorial move on that. If the American people had been a little bit better versed, maybe they wouldn't have reelected him. So I do not say that he is a dictator like some of the 20th century dictators that killed 290 million people. But these are dictatorial moves. They're very, very dangerous. And people say to me, why are you worried about, you know, the military arresting American citizens, National Defense Authorization Act? Because only 1 or 2 people were involved. Yeah, but the principle is 100% when you establish a principle. So what he's doing is perpetuating a principle of putting more power into the presidency, and it's very, very dangerous.
Setting the precedent under NDAA. We're almost out of time, sir. Will you turn in your semi-autos?
Well, I might not even have anything to turn in for that purpose, but I don't think the American people will. I've always assumed that the line in the sand may well be drawn. If the federal agent marches in unannounced and they say, well, give me your gun and give me your gold, I don't think we'll do that, you know, calmly. I think the American people will highly resent it and resist.
So you think I was right then telling Piers Morgan if they try to confiscate the guns, it will start 1776 Part 2?
No, I don't know whether I put them in the same words, but I think I said something very similar to what you're saying.
Well,
anyone who's watched this show over the past few weeks knows I've taken a pretty strong stand on guns in America. It's not escaped the notice of supporters of gun rights, and it's led to a petition on the White House official website, no less. It's entitled, and I quote, "Deport British citizen Piers Morgan for attacking Second Amendment." Take a look. More than 104,000 people have signed it so far. And joining me now is one of the people behind the petition, Alex Jones. He's host of the Alex Jones Show. Welcome to you.
Piers, thanks for having me.
Why do you want to deport me?
Well, we did it as a way to bring attention to the fact that we have all of these foreigners and the Russian government, the official Chinese government. Mao said political power goes out of the barrel of a gun. He killed about 80 million people because he's the only guy that had the guns. So we did it to point out that this is globalism, and the mega banks that control the planet and brag that they've taken over, in Bloomberg, AP, Reuters, you name it, brag that they're going to get our guns as well. They've taken everybody's guns but the Swiss and the American people. And when they get our guns, they can have their world tyranny while the government buys 1.6 billion bullets, armored vehicles, tanks, helicopters, Predator drones, armed, now in U.S. skies, being used to arrest people in North Dakota. The Second Amendment isn't there for duck hunting. It's there to protect us from tyrannical government and street thugs. Take the women in India. Your piece earlier on CNN I was watching during Anderson Cooper's show didn't tell you that the women of India have signed giant petitions to get firearms because the police can't and won't protect them. The answer is, hey, wait a minute, I have FBI crime statistics that come out a year late, 2011. 20+% crime drop in the last 9 years. Real violent crime, because more guns means less crime. Britain took the guns 15, 16 years ago, tripling of your overall violent crime. True, we have a higher gun violence level, but overall mugging, stabbings, deaths, those men raped that woman in India to death with an iron rod 4 feet long. You can't ban the iron rods. The guns, the iron rods, Pierce, didn't do it. The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? That's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns. My family in the Texas Revolution against Santa Anna, my family was at the core on both sides starting that because Santa Anna came to take the guns at Gonzales, Texas. Pierce, don't try what your ancestors did before. Why don't you come to America? I'll take you out shooting. You can become an American and join the Republic.
You finished?
Yes, I am finished. You will not take my right. You go through background checks to get guns. How about Prozac? You know the number one, oh, that's the big sponsor, isn't it? Or that whole class of drugs.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, got to cut that off, don't you? Don't want to talk about the U.S. number one cause of death is suicide now because they give people suicide mass murder pills.
Calm down.
Your answer is give more money to the psychiatrists and psychologists to put more crazy people on drugs that make them kill people, Pierce.
Let's try and have a debate here.
Yeah.
Answer me this question.
I'm sick of the same old script here, bud.
It's fine, bud. How many gun murders were there in America last year? Do you know?
There were about 11,458, and about 74% of those were gang-related, gangbangers shooting each other. You get 3,500 to 4,000.
That wasn't the
How
question.
many people died from infections in hospitals? 197,000.
Let me just ask you a second
That's
question.
right.
How many gun murders were there in Britain
How
last
many
year?
great white sharks
No, how many
kill people every year, but they're scared to swim?
Right. How many gun murders were there in Britain
A
last year?
very low amount. I already went over those statistics.
Do you know?
It was only a few hundred.
No. How many gun murders?
I actually did pull up the statistics. Here, let me pull them out right here. I figured you'd do that.
Gun murders in Britain last year.
UK violent crime, capital of Europe. London Telegraph. Here, let me give you more.
It's quite a simple question.
Well, that's the oldest.
You're a very loud man.
No, that's the oldest
make a
Perry
lot of
Mason
noise.
tactic to ask me some little factoid.
It's not a little factoid.
I already said earlier,
We're talking about
England has a lot lower gun crime rate because you took all the guns.
Let me try exactly my
point. But you've got hordes of people burning down cities and beating old women's brains out every day.
What a ridiculous
They arrest people in England if they defend themselves. That's on record. My God, you have got a total police state. Everybody's fleeing that country because you've had to flee here, bud. Why don't you tell folks? Here. Yeah, you fled here. Why don't you go back and face the charges for the hacking scandal?
Answer this question. How many
Why'd you get fired from the Daily Mirror for putting out fake stories? You're a hatchet man of the New World Order. Okay. You're a hatchet man. And I want to say this right here. You think you're a tough guy? Have me back with a boxing ring in here, and I'll wear red, white, and blue, and you can wear your Jolly Roger.
Okay.
You know what?
Let's try again. How many gun murders were there?
Oh, you're going to ban your fist now?
In Britain last year.
How many chimpanzees can dance on the head of a pin? I already went over those statistics.
Do you know the answer?
No, I don't.
You said hundreds.
It's very low.
You said hundreds.
Yes.
It's actually 35.
Well, the point is you can...
Against 11,000. Do you understand the difference between 11,000
Yeah, England
and
wants
35?
to ban knives now because tens of thousands are getting stabbed.
Right. But do you understand
ban
the
knives?
difference?
The knife doesn't kill people.
Do you understand?
The gun doesn't kill people.
Yes.
Listen, do you understand
between 35
you're not going to pull on America's heartstrings? They know your script, okay? You're not going to get our guns. By the way, you guys always say, we just want to take the semi-autos, okay, and all this other stuff. When semi-autos aren't even, rifles aren't even used, but in a fraction of the crimes, you can pull those numbers up, okay? No, hold on.
Let me ask you one question. Which weapon was predominantly used in the Aurora movie theatre shooting?
M4 AR-15 variant.
So it was a semi-automatic assault rifle.
Again.
Okay.
But statistically, it's very, very low.
Do you agree it was the single biggest shooting in the history of America in terms of people hit by a shooter? Do you know that?
No, I believe that there were others. There's been some other shootings with about over 30.
No. This was the single biggest mass shooting.
Well, listen, you're just going... No, there have been bombings of Wall Street.
Let me ask you a second question.
Are we going to... Listen, why can't the pilots have firearms? We trust them to fly the planes.
Alex, you've had a lot to say.
No, my point is the Second Amendment is sacrosanct, and you're not getting it.
Do you know which weapon was used in the Oregon shopping mall mass shooting recently?
I understand that people... who are mentally ill on all the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, who play these shoot-em-up games, want to go out and do this. Because there's criminals, I don't lose my rights, Pierce. Because there's criminals, I don't lose my rights.
Just answer the question.
Yeah.
Do you know what the weapon used was?
Listen, let me ask you a question.
No, answer.
I've got the FBI statistics that, that the so-called semi-autos that you talk about.
Let's take a break. When we come back.
Again, you're not going to get our guns.
When we come back, try and answer my question.
Yeah, all you're going to do is sit there and play little factoid questions. Overall crime has gone up over 20%. More.
Back now with Alex Jones. A man who says I should be deported for my stand on guns. So, Alex, here's how this is going to work, and it's entirely down to you. I'm going to ask you some questions in the spirit of a proper debate, and you've had a lot to say so far on the show, and a lot of it aimed at me, which is fine. But I want you to try and answer the questions. It's a proper debate, okay? I'm not trying to trip you up.
No, it's not a debate. You're running the show. You bring in your victims up front.
Actually, no.
Look, you got your little note cards.
Yeah, okay.
I just gave you FBI statistics that violent crime and gun crime is down over 20%.
Alex, let me just ask you
this. You want to go to little factoids.
No, they're not little
Anybody
factoids.
Can pull those up. Listen.
Do you know what...
Do you have a bodyguard?
Alex.
Why do you have bodyguards?
I don't have a bodyguard.
Yeah, I've seen you on the news with them. Don't you want to protect your wife from hoodlums, or you want to call the police?
Let me ask you this question.
Why does Dianne Feinstein tell 60 Minutes that she plans to try to take Mr. and Mrs. America's guns?
Stop
Have you seen
talking
that
over me.
You guys want to disarm all of America.
No, I don't.
Dianne Feinstein's bill does.
I don't.
Gun confiscation.
No, let me clarify for you. You don't seem to understand
First you register, then you confiscate. It's always done the same.
Here's what the campaign on this
Well, here, give me your little cue cards and I'll answer your questions for you.
What was the weapon used at Sandy Hook?
I've already gone over that and already answered it for you.
We haven't talked about Sandy Hook.
No, again.
What was the weapon?
It's a 223 M4.
Right.
Again, but statistically, they're using very low percentage of shootings, period.
Are you seeing,
you guys,
seeing
people wouldn't go swimming because the movie Jaws, even though great white sharks kill 5 people a year.
Alex,
you're trying to scare people.
Let me say something.
There's no metal shark in the water.
The same type of weapon was used in the last 3 mass shootings.
And Hitler used semi-autos to kill people.
Why would you not?
And so did Mao.
Why would you?
Why is the government arming to the teeth against us?
Alex, I don't
What about Fast and Furious?
Alex,
why did our government ship guns into Mexico?
Alex.
To blame the Second Amendment?
Let's have a debate.
A false flag?
Alex.
To blame the Second Amendment?
I get accused.
Why'd they blow up Building 7 down the street here in New York?
I get accused when I get you guys on of talking over you, of being rude. I'm trying to be civil, right? You've got to try and answer some of the questions, right? Here's my issue for you. Why do people civilians need an AR-15 type assault rifle? Why do
I
you
already
need them?
said statistically they're used in
no,
a very
answer
low
the question.
amount of the crimes. That's an FBI fact.
They've been used in the last 3 mass shootings.
Yes.
Why do
I'll tell
people
you
need
why.
them?
Because they advertise it in the media. Anybody knows that if somebody jumps off the Empire State Building, they put cops up there the next day because copycats come to do it again. The media hypes and hypes and hypes.
And that's not the question.
Don't just commit suicide.
Alex, why do people
Go commit
need them?
suicide by killing a bunch of kids, and here's the gun to use because it's the one the U.S. Army uses.
Why do people need them?
They need them to protect us from the #1 killer in history. Government in the 20th century, university study out of Hawaii killed 292 million people. It's called democide. Google it, folks.
Do you believe everyone in America, should everyone in America, therefore, have an AR-15 if they want one?
Statistically, where there's more guns, there's lower crime. The highest crime is in Bloomberg,
But you have the most guns of any of the 23 richest countries in the world, and you have
Well, America was born on guns and whiskey.
Right.
But it's true we're a violent society.
Right. So you
but
accept that America has the most
knives
guns
kill
and the
3
most gun
times more.
murders.
Have you seen the FBI numbers? Knives, bats, rocks
Let's talk guns.
kill many times more.
Alex, let's talk about the guns.
It's not the rock. It's not the knife. When a mother chops her kids up with a cleaver because she's on serotonin.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
Why don't you want to get rid of the
AR-15s?
drugs? Because they're half your sponsors?
No, stick to the subject.
America's #1 cause of unnatural death now is suicide.
Okay. Alex,
not
let's try
automobile
again.
accident, not cancer, not...
You
Listen,
accuse me of attacking the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
I want to get people off pills that the insert says will make you commit suicide and kill people.
Alex, let's get about to the Second Amendment.
I want to blame the real culprit.
Alex.
Suicide pills.
Alex.
Mass murder pills.
Okay, let me ask you one question. Your belief, unless I'm wrong...
First time anybody's ever heard this, by the way.
Your belief, unless I'm wrong, is that under the Second Amendment, your real concern is that you will be overrun by a tyrannical regime, either from somewhere else or
highway
from your own government.
checkpoints. Look at Mexico. Total gun ban for the citizens. Highest crime rate in the world. 57,000 people dead the last 5 years. Total gun ban for the citizens.
But
Switzerland has the lowest crime rate in Europe. Your country has the highest.
Alex, we have 35 gun murders a year. You have 11,000.
You people get their brains. It's the higher crime rate.
Let me ask
Violent crime is higher.
On this specific...
It's brains.
Alex,
it's people.
I'm trying to get inside your brains.
Pierce,
it's
if
not
you punched
very
me
easy.
right now, it'd be not your fist, but your brain that did it.
Let me get inside your brain.
Okay.
Okay? I'm serious. You have a very, very big platform. You air, I think, on 63 networks.
No, that Wikipedia is like 10 years old. I'm on over 140 stations, XM.
Millions of Americans hear you
over 1.5 million
day.
visitors to Infowars.com
and
a day.
I congratulate
where we have the
your
statistics
audience.
posted right now. Infowars.com.
Who do you believe was behind 9/11?
Oh, I absolutely know. I have the police on CNN saying, get back, they're going to blow up 7. I have BBC reporting.
Who do you believe is behind it?
I have the proof. I heard them on CBS Radio.
Who, Alex?
They announced they blew up the towers on CBS Radio.
Who do you believe?
New Yorkers all saw it and heard it.
Alex, who do you believe?
They blew up Building 7.
Alex, who do you believe was behind it? The American government?
Criminal elements of the military-industrial complex, the same ones that staged Gulf of Tonkin, the same ones that staged Operation, the mass shootings of Operation Gladio.
Right.
Ooh, the CIA don't like this now.
Do you mean that President Bush and his administration were behind 9/11?
I mean that even mainstream news reported that the hijackers were ordered to be allowed into the United States. Michael Springman, the head of the visa department, blew the whistle on that.
So the Bush administration was part of a conspiracy
said never let us tolerate
to murder.
I can speak in this accent as well.
Yeah.
The
but is that
government,
what you believe?
Hitler firebombed his own Reichstag, Pierce, to bring in martial law in Germany, April 27th, 1933. Governments have staged terror attacks throughout history or allowed terrorists to attack as a pretext to invade and enslave the populations. I probably own more than 50 firearms. Many of them have increased in value 2, 3, or even 4 times. I sleep very comfortably outside Austin, Texas, knowing that I can defend my family.
Okay, Alex Jones.
Infowars.com.
This is the man who wants to deport me from the country for wanting to get rid of
it's to point out you're a foreigner, a red coat, here telling us what to do.
Whatever.
Go back to where they took the guns if you don't like it.
I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.